It's right there.
What's that noise?
You guys hear that? What is that? There's definitely a Wendigo.
Hakan! Hakan şurada bir şey var.
Sus bağırma ses.
Venturing into the woods alone at night can be terrifying. But what happens when you encounter someone or something you'd rather never meet? Like what happened in this first encounter. Back in July 2011, an anonymous YouTube channel uploaded a short 4-minute video. While the channel wasn't known for sharing frightening content, this particular clip would prove to be a chilling exception. It began innocently enough, with a person wearing a head-mounted camera hiking through a well-known location in eastern British Columbia. But what followed was anything but ordinary. What began as a routine hiking vlog quickly took a dark and unexpected turn. In a sudden moment of terror, something startled the man so deeply that he broke into a desperate run, scrambling to find safety.
Holy shit!
An enormous creature suddenly appeared, something resembling a grizzly bear, but far larger and far more terrifying. Instinctively, the man took off running for his life. Throughout the clip, he can be seen fleeing in panic, repeatedly glancing over his shoulder to check if the creature was still in pursuit. The video abruptly ends there, leaving behind a chilling mystery. Was the beast actually chasing him? And did he manage to survive? To this day, the identity of the man remains unknown, as does his fate. No one knows whether he was injured, made it out alive, or vanished without a trace. Years later, the unanswered questions still haunt those who have seen the footage. A peaceful night under the stars can quickly turn into a nerve-wracking ordeal when the silence of the wilderness is broken by unexplained noises and unsettling encounters. These events will make you question what, or who, lurks just beyond the firelight. Meet Arnold, the adventurer behind the YouTube channel Arnold Outdoors. His channel typically showcases the beauty and challenges of outdoor excursions, often with a companion. Viewers join him as he navigates rugged terrains and sets up camp in remote locations. But one particular trip would test their nerves in ways they hadn't anticipated, turning a search for a peaceful campsite into a night of escalating fear. The adventure began with Arnold and his companion searching for the perfect spot as night fell, the landscape growing increasingly snowy.
We're going up in elevation. Slightly. It's getting a wee more snowy.
Their initial search was complicated by the presence of other people nearby, forcing them to push further into the wilderness. As darkness fully enveloped them, they finally settled on a location, though the remoteness initially seemed promising. Their attempt to settle in was short-lived. Suddenly, their attention was drawn to movement in the distance. They spotted figures with headlamps, some red, some bright, moving towards them, appearing to split up as they advanced.
Alright, so we gotta leave. There's creepy-ass people with red headlamps coming towards us out of the woods.
Well, here's what happened.
About 400 yards off.
There's 2 people with red headlamps on and 2 people with bright headlamps on.
Yeah.
and you can see them moving. We can see silhouettes against the moonshine.
Yep.
With what little bit of lights out here, and you can tell by the way they were bobbing that it was clearly people.
The eerie sight of the red headlamps, often used for stealth, and the strategic movement of the individuals was enough to send a chill down their spines, and they decided the situation was too creepy.
See very well.
But you can spot critters and stuff. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and,
Too creepy for me, man. And they were splitting up and heading down.
They immediately decided to pack up and find a new, hopefully safer location. After relocating, they found what seemed to be a more isolated spot, noting the lack of fresh tracks in the snow, suggesting they were alone. They set up camp, trying to settle in for the night, preparing food, and making their beds. However, the tranquility was soon shattered.
Yeah, what was that, a gunshot? Gunshot or a vehicle? Vehicle.
Strange sounds, possibly gunshots or a vehicle, echoed through the night, making them instantly alert and on edge. The sounds persisted, growing louder and seemingly closer, resembling gunshots that echoed menacingly. Then, distinct vehicle noises joined the cacophony, revving up nearby.
Vehicle.
It sounds like they're moving.
Panic began to set in as they realized people were right there, driving around and shooting, hooting and hollering in the dead of night.
They're right fucking there, dude.
They're like driving around shooting.
Hooting and hollering and shooting. It's teenagers hooting and hollering.
They quickly killed their lights and got low, fearing they had been spotted. Through the darkness, they heard voices, one person seemingly pointing towards their camp, possibly having seen their fire. The realization that these individuals were aware of their presence was terrifying. Fortunately, the group eventually drove off, leaving Arnold and his companion shaken but unharmed. The close call with reckless individuals shooting randomly in the dark was a stark reminder of the unpredictable dangers of the wilderness. The rest of the night offered little respite. The biting cold eventually forced them to abandon their pop-up tent and retreat to the relative warmth of their truck in the early hours of the morning.
As you can tell, migrated to the truck because it was unbearably cold out here. So that was a pain in the ass at 2:30, having to...
As if the night's encounters weren't enough, morning brought fresh chaos when a strong gust of wind caught their pop-up shelter, sending it flying, adding a final frustrating touch to their harrowing experience.
So we had a bit of a rude awakening. They were laying around all morning, not a problem. And then I look outside, decide it looks nice, and I was like, oh, it's probably about time to get up. Crawl up to look at my tablet, see what time it is, and turn and look out the window, and off goes the pop-up. That flew all the way over to where our steps are out there.
While Arnold and his companion made it through the night physically unscathed, the series of unsettling events served as a stark warning. From mysterious figures with red headlamps to reckless individuals firing guns in the dead of night. Their camping trip was a far cry from the peaceful retreat they had sought. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the most frightening things in the woods aren't wild animals, but other people. One thing is certain: that night in the snowy wilderness is one they won't soon forget. A peaceful night camping in the wilderness can quickly turn into a nightmare when the silence is broken by unexplained sounds, and the canvas of your tent is the only thing separating you from the unknown. This story will make you reconsider your next camping trip. Meet Hakan and Nihal from the YouTube channel Bizim Aile. They share their various experiences, often venturing into nature and enjoying outdoor activities like camping. While their content usually captures lighthearted moments and culinary adventures in the wild, one particular camping trip would take a dark turn, revealing how suddenly tranquility can shatter into terror. The video opens with Hakan and Nihal setting up for the evening, preparing a meal at their campsite. They seem relaxed, focusing on cooking and enjoying their time together, unaware of the unsettling events about to unfold. They prepare, then later, serve the food, a peaceful moment that would soon be overshadowed by fear.
Çayı unuttuysan şöyle koyacaktır. Ver bunu.
Denesi gelmez öyle.
Elini yakma nasıl tutuyor?
As evening progresses, they discuss future cooking plans. The atmosphere still calm and ordinary, while dealing with a deflating air mattress inside their tent. A common camping inconvenience, the mood begins to shift.
Ses var. Hakan. Naca al istersen bir ses var. Çok ses var Hakan.
It's then that Nihal distinctly hears a sound from outside, a noise that cuts through the night's quiet, instantly putting them on alert. Hakan initially tries to downplay it, but the sense of unease has begun to creep in. The strange sounds persist, growing more distinct and alarming, making them question what could be out there in the darkness.
Ya ne yapacak şimdi? O sesler ne? Köpek öyle mi ses çıkarır?
Nihal, becoming increasingly frightened, urges Hakan to investigate, even suggesting he take a hatchet for protection as he cautiously ventures to look.
Naca'nın bir çıkmayın neymiş yavaş yavaş. Lambayı da al. Al lambayı şurada. Bakın çok bir şey var orada. Ne yapacak ya? Silah da yok.
The uncertainty of what is making the noises, whether it's a common animal or something more threatening like a bear or wolf, heightens the tension considerably as Hakan tries to peer into the night.
Görmüyor musun? Bir sürü ses var.
Köpektir ya.
Ya köpek olur mu? Öyle mi yapar? Bayağı bir sürü ses de.
Devam.
The situation takes a terrifying turn when Nihal believes she sees something moving near their tent, her voice laced with panic.
Bakın yavaş bir çık da şuradan bak hadi.
Başka bir şey.
Elinde ışık var işte hadi.
Kurtmuşsa.
Uzaktan bak öyle fazla yanaşma.
Daha var mı kurt?
Ya ne bileyim kurtulsa kaç içeri.
Nasıl kaçacağım kurttan?
İyi de hadi içeri gelirse
İçeri giremez.
ne bileyim yer mermi çadırı. Hakan!
Hakan attempts to keep her calm, but the unseen presence becomes more aggressive. The sounds are now unmistakably close, as if something is circling them and then begins to interact directly with the tent.
Diyor.
Olur mu acaba?
Ya bilmem çadırla ne oynuyor? Hakan! Hakan arkanda!
Sus. Bağırma sus.
In a chilling moment, Nihal screams that the source of the noise is right behind Hakan, just outside the thin fabric of the tent. The encounter climaxes as the entity seemingly scratches and pushes against the tent, as if attempting to force its way inside, an experience Nihal later recounts with sheer terror.
Ne biliyor ne olduğunu? Resmen çadır tırmaladı. Ay nasıl korktum. İçeri girmeye çalıştı ama ya.
Although the immediate physical threat appears to subside as the noises eventually stop, the psychological impact is profound.
Herhalde.
Vallahi bilmiyorum ben yatamam bu korkuyla.
Nihal is deeply shaken and terrified, expressing her inability to sleep, while Hakan tries to offer reassurance by saying he will remain on watch.
Sen yat ben beklerim artık.
Vallahi ben çok korktum uyuyamam ki.
Ben beklerim bakayım. Gitti zaten herhalde.
Ya çok geldi ya. Bu resmen iyice oynadı.
Yemek aradı bulamayınca gitti.
Keşke silah mı olsaymış. Ben uyuyamam ki.
The end of their tent is visibly torn, a stark and chilling reminder of how close the unknown visitor came and how vulnerable they were. What was lurking outside their tent that night? A desperate animal or something more inexplicable? The ambiguity only adds to the chilling nature of their experience. While Hakan and Nihal were physically unharmed, the terror of such a close and aggressive encounter in the isolated wilderness is undeniable. One thing is certain: their peaceful camping trip transformed into a harrowing ordeal, a stark reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things are those you can hear but cannot see. They'll surely think twice before underestimating the wild again. Still recovering from that last story? You might want to brace yourself. Things are about to take an even darker turn. About a year ago, a video was uploaded to a relatively unknown TikTok account known for sharing eerie content about wendigos and other creepy creatures said to inhabit the woods. While the channel had posted similar material before, this particular video stood out for its deeply unsettling nature. Titled Wendigo Encounter, it was far more disturbing than anything the account had shared previously.
You guys hear that? Close in here. Really? Lola. You guys, is that right? It's right there. What's that noise? You guys hear that? What is that? That's definitely a Wendigo.
It began with a man and his dog trapped inside a remote cabin, nervously pointing a laser pointer out the window in an attempt to locate the Wendigo. Just moments later, something truly terrifying occurred. Something that would leave any viewer deeply unsettled.
There's a couple for sure. Hey, watch them. This shit's crazy. Dudes are everywhere. Where the heck is it? I can't see it. Hey. Knock it off. Dudes are everywhere. You guys hear it? 12 o'clock. Watch them, bros. Watch them.
I think they are.
That's when it became clear. Someone, or something, was on the roof of the cabin. The sound of crawling echoed above, accompanied by the unnerving creaks of doors being tugged and windows rattling violently. It was as if the shapeshifter, known in legend as the Wendigo, knew someone was inside and was trying to get in. This encounter remains one of the most disturbing ever captured, an experience that brought the man terrifyingly close to death. His heart pounded with fear as he struggled to make sense of what was happening. Yet one haunting question still lingers. Was it truly a Wendigo, or just another elaborate hoax? Based on what the video reveals, it didn't appear to be a person trying to scare him. Whatever it was real enough to instill sheer panic and pose a genuine threat to his life. Venturing into remote wilderness can lead to incredible discoveries, but sometimes the most unsettling encounters aren't with the ghosts of the past, but with the unpredictable nature of the living. These will make you reconsider your next isolated camping trip. Meet Tommy, the adventurous spirit behind the YouTube channel Tommy Dial. His channel is a gateway to forgotten history as he explores abandoned locations, forgotten trails, and places reclaimed by nature. From decaying structures to serene yet isolated landscapes, Tommy uncovers the stories hidden within these forsaken spots. With a keen eye for detail and a passion for the unknown, he draws viewers into his expeditions. But one particular adventure would prove that some discoveries come with an unexpected and deeply unsettling price. Tommy set out with a clear goal: to find an abandoned fire lookout tower, rumored to be pitched high in the mountains, a relic from the early 1900s.
Long before satellites watched from space or helicopters scanned the ridge lines, there were fire towers. Built by hand in the early 1900s, fire lookouts rose from the mountaintops across America. I recently heard of one pitched high on the mountains, abandoned, and left to stand the test of time.
Eager to uncover this piece of mountaintop history, he ventured deep into the rugged terrain.
Eager to find out, I wasted no time, racing deep into the heart of the mountains on the search.
However, the journey quickly presented its challenges.
Well, we ran into a slight problem already. Just started to turn onto this trail to go up the mountain, and there is a tree blocking this. Don't know how long this has been here.
An early obstacle, a fallen tree, blocked his path, forcing him to manually clear the way. This was just the beginning of a demanding trek up a narrow and overgrown mountain trail, putting his vehicle and his resolve to the test.
Currently making our way up this almost 20-mile trail into the mountains that hopefully leads us to the fire lookout. I have no idea. We're just kind of hoping for the best. But man, this trail that we're on is much more narrow than the trail that goes up to our cabin. So really wish I had some clippers. It'd be easy if I was in like a Jeep or something, but and my truck is a bit wider. It's
Going to be quite the tight squeeze.
The path to the fire tower was far from straightforward. For hours, Tommy navigated treacherous roads, encountering multiple dead ends that forced him to backtrack and seek alternate routes.
bad news. I have no idea why, but there is a gate in the middle of this and it is locked. Not ideal. So I think we might have to go back down the mountain and take an alternate route, which we've been driving up the mountain for like an hour.
The punishing conditions even led to damage to his truck, adding to the mounting frustration of the search.
Officially on our third route because these loggers got lazy with the road up there. The bumper got stuck on something and this whole thing flew off and we put it back on, but it's totally broken, ruined. So
Despite these setbacks and the hours ticking by, his determination to reach the elusive tower and camp there remained unshaken.
we are officially going on 5 hours in the truck looking for this place. So really hoping that the third time, I think I have a good feeling about this. We'll see. I really want to see it. I really want to go camp at this lookout, but if not, we'll have to conquer it in another video. But I have hopes it's going to work out here.
After approximately 7 hours of relentless searching and navigating a barely there road deep in the backcountry, he stumbled upon an unexpected and intriguing find: an old, abandoned homestead.
We are about 7 hours into looking for this watchtower now, and we are 8 miles in the backcountry, and we just came across what seems like an old homestead up here. This is really, really crazy.
The homestead consisted of a few decaying structures, including what appeared to be an old well house and the rubble of what was once the main living quarters, seemingly destroyed by fire.
Here's the first structure that's closest to the so-called road, but it looks like from the outside this would maybe be a well house. Yeah, you got this big jug in here. It's probably the entrance to the well. It's to be the old living quarters or house area, but it seems that it burnt down.
Research revealed the earliest record of the place dated back to 1935, though its exact inhabitants, whether they manned the nearby watchtower or were a family living in isolation, remained a mystery.
Curious about the history of this place, I did a little bit of research and here's all I was able to find. The earliest record of this place was August 16th, 1935. Now there's no cold hard facts on who actually lived here, but there are a few assumptions. The most obvious being it was the people who lived here that manned the watchtower and spent all of this time up here, considering it was such a hard place to access. While others believe that it was just a family who lived there for decades with zero affiliation to the watchtower.
Finally, after an arduous 8-hour journey filled with obstacles and unexpected discoveries, Tommy arrived at his destination, the Fire Lookout Tower.
After almost 8 hours, we had arrived. All the things that we had been through the day, from traveling on these so-called roads to battling these high winds.
He cautiously climbed the weathered structure, the sketchy ascent rewarded with a breathtaking view.
I'm gonna walk up this lookout tower for a bit here. I don't know how high I'm gonna go, but we're gonna go up a little ways. Oh, this is so stupid.
Definitely be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, because this was pretty sketchy.
He also explored a small, garage-like building and what seemed to be a cellar near the tower. The original plan to camp at the fire lookout had to be abandoned as the structure was too dilapidated and unsafe.
Now, the original plan was to camp at the fire lookout, but after seeing it, it was too run down to do so.
This necessitated a change of plans, leading Tommy to find an alternative campsite by a lake as evening approached.
It's an absolutely gorgeous night, so I think once the sun continues to set and it gets too dark for Levi to continue to swim, which, if you asked him, then go find some dinner, and I think we might find a camp spot somewhere here down on the lake and relax tonight. So
He set up his tent, looking forward to a peaceful night after a long and eventful day.
got everything in a bin. I'm just gonna grab the stuff that we need for tonight. Jet boil. We got a sweet little place here, nobody close to us. So we're gonna get this tent unpacked and set up. Have a nice night's sleep right by the lakeside. The three of us are officially squared away after a long and exhilarating day, but it was a ton of fun. So we're gonna get some good sleep tonight.
As night fell, around 10 p.m., Tommy settled in, but an inexplicable feeling of unease kept him awake while his companion Sarah and his dog Levi slept soundly.
Like a really good plan. When we laid down to go to sleep, it was approaching 10 o'clock, and I was looking forward to it. For some reason, I just had a really interesting feeling in my stomach, and I couldn't fall asleep no matter what. So while Sarah and Levi were sound asleep, I laid there for hours.
Later, his unease was validated when a car came speeding into the otherwise empty parking lot, slammed into a tree, and then stopped about 50 yards from their tent.
Something odd happened. I heard a car come flying down the road and into the parking lot where we parked so we could set up camp, and we were the only ones parked there. Kinda strange. Now, at first, I was just thinking, maybe this is just some kids being kids. No big deal, right? Well, then the car slammed into a tree and took off speeding the other direction before eventually coming to a stop about 50 yards from our tent. Dude gets out of the car. He was clearly drunk out of his mind and had no idea.
A large, clearly intoxicated man emerged. Tommy watched him from the darkness, even calling park rangers who unfortunately never arrived. And an hour later, Tommy, still unable to shake his bad feeling and aware of approaching storms, made the difficult decision to pack up camp around 2 a.m.
And it was approaching 1:30. He had been quiet for almost an hour. I eventually got back in the tent and tried to convince myself, just go to sleep. Everything's alright. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it, and I knew that there were storms on the horizon rolling into town. At this point, it's now past 2 in the morning, and I came to the tough decision to let's just pack up camp and get back in the truck before the storm hits.
By 3 a.m., just as he finished packing the truck, the storm hit with full force. Thunder, lightning, hail, and rain.
I had just finished packing up the truck, and the storms hit. Thunder, lightning, hail, rain. I mean, it was coming down.
It was then, while reviewing footage, that Sarah alerted him. The man was standing directly in front of their truck in the downpour.
Finally happened. It's 3 in the morning. I'm looking over some of the footage that I had just captured that day, that you guys just watched. And when all of a sudden, Sarah just said my name. I looked up in front of our truck, in the pouring rain, in the hail, just standing there.
He would have had to walk directly past their former campsite. They quickly drove away, relocating to a rest station at the top of the camp.
He eventually walks by our truck, and I peel out of there and just drive up to the top of the camp where there's a rest station and bathrooms.
After warning other people there about the man, they saw him again, walking down the middle of the street towards them, emerging from the darkness about half a mile from where the initial encounter occurred.
And we kind of saw that they pumped their brakes as they were driving off, and swerved around something, which was strange. When out of the darkness, about a half a mile from where all this originally happened, here he comes, walking down the middle of the street, right back at us.
Who knows what might have transpired if they hadn't trusted that gut feeling and left the tent. Fortunately, they didn't stick around to discover the worst. After another call, park rangers finally arrived and reportedly dealt with the individual.
If we'd never got out of the tent, but luckily, we didn't hang around to find out. We ended up calling the park rangers again, and they finally came out, and I believe they picked him up, and thankfully, nothing bad happened that night.
This chilling encounter serves as a potent reminder. While exploring the unknown can be thrilling, human unpredictability can introduce a far more terrifying element. Always trust your instincts. They might just save you from a situation far more sinister than any ghost story. Solo camping offers peace, but sometimes the solitude can bring an unexpected sense of unease, especially when the surroundings themselves feel unnerving. Here's a chilling account of a camper who found himself feeling genuinely creeped out. Meet the creator behind the YouTube channel, Nowhere Bound. He, along with his trusty companion Juniper, often seeks out remote and beautiful locations to share with his audience, embracing the tranquility of nature. His videos typically capture the joy of exploration and the serenity of being outdoors. However, one particular night would test his comfort levels in an entirely new way, proving that even seasoned campers can be caught off guard by the atmosphere of a place. The adventure began, like many others, setting up camp in a seemingly peaceful spot. The host initially explored the area with Juniper, noting the details of the flood-prone landscape behind their site.
So this is the whole area behind our campsite, and you could kind of tell that it is a flood area. I mean, when the stream is high, all this debris is piling up on the trees.
As evening approached, however, the mood began to shift. The host found himself camping directly across from an old, somewhat imposing building, and the campers who had been nearby mysteriously vanished, leaving their tent and belongings behind.
It's getting very dark, as you can see. I'm camping right across the street from that building. The people who were camping just left, but their tent and everything is still set up down there, so I don't know what's going on with them. They may return.
This, coupled with the encroaching darkness and a failed attempt to start a proper fire, set a somber tone. He confessed a growing sense of being creeped out, an unfamiliar feeling for him during his outdoor excursions.
Gotta be honest, I'm a little creeped out right now. And this is the first time this has ever happened to me camping. I don't know if...
The unsettling feeling was amplified by the profound quiet of the location, punctuated only by strange animal noises he couldn't quite identify, and the persistent calls of whippoorwills, sounds he rarely encountered.
It's the building or the quiet or that Juniper is just restless. Once in a while I hear strange animal noises that I've never heard before. I think they're frogs. There's multiple whippoorwills, and I don't hear whippoorwills very often.
The combination of the eerie building, the silence, and his dog Juniper's restlessness contributed to his decision to abandon his cooking plans and simply retreat into his camper for the night. He even posed a question to his viewers, wondering if they too would feel comfortable camping so close to such a structure.
So, I think I'm just going to have a snack and call it a night. And I usually don't get creeped out. But we're going to just get in the camper, hunker down, try to get Juniper to settle down. Would you camp right across from a building like this?
Inside the camper, the host admitted that while he was sure it was his mind playing tricks, the building across the way had the distinct appearance of a place that could harbor a poltergeist, being mere feet from his campsite.
This is definitely a new thing for me. I've never had creepy, weird feelings at a camp before, and I'm sure it's just my mind playing tricks on me.
but it definitely looks like the kind of building that could have a poltergeist in it, and it's...
He opted to close the blinds and watch a movie, trying to distract himself from the oppressive quiet and the unnerving proximity of the old homestead. The night passed fitfully, and the following morning, he recounted having had a rough night with little sleep, still grappling with the incessant fear of being haunted.
Well, it's been kind of a rough morning. Besides the lack of sleep and the...
Despite the unsettling night, the morning light brought some reassurance. The host acknowledged that while the experience was spooky at first, it ultimately turned out to be okay, and he would even consider returning to the Ringmill campground.
Ringmill campground in the Wayne National Forest. It was a little spooky at first, but it turned out to be okay. We'll definitely come back.
The mystery of the abandoned campsite nearby and the true nature of his unease, whether it was the building, the isolation, or simply his imagination, remained. Sometimes the most unsettling encounters are not with tangible threats, but with the profound creepiness a place can exude, playing on our deepest anxieties. For the host of Nowhere Bound, it was a reminder that the wild can be unpredictable, not just in its beauty, but in the feelings it evokes. Fortunately, his unease was confined to a sleepless night, a chilling memory rather than a dangerous confrontation. One thing is certain, the eerie presence of that old building left a lasting impression. That's all for today, folks. If you want to see more of this creepy content, click on the video on screen.